The world that two imperfect gods had forged, through trial and error, patch after patch, suddenly collapsed. A catastrophic thermal runaway triggered by the birth of the fire deity, Kagutsuchi. With the death of his co-creator Izanami, the system logged its first irrecoverable error since the dawn of existence. Having lost his partner, Izanagi cuts down the source of this heat. In any other mythology, this would be framed as a grim tragedy of kinship, a fateful clash between creator and creation. But this agonizing strike was more than vengeance born from grief. It was also an act of creative destruction, cleaving the raw, uncontrollable energy of fire and bringing forth 8 new deities. The massive heat source that was cleaved apart did not simply disappear. The single runaway process, fire, was subdivided by the sword into 8 contained modules, then mapped onto the existing terrain, the rocks, mountains, and valleys already in place. It was the moment when individual management processes, godhood itself, were assigned to what had previously been nothing more than raw physical objects. By absorbing this immense thermal energy as a will embedded in nature, the world upgraded its own environmental system. And from the blood dripping off the administrator's sword, powerful independent programs were deployed, chief among them the supreme thunder god Takemikazuchi, who would one day pacify the entire world. Through this single tragedy, the ancient chroniclers documented a masterclass in resource management, converting runaway energy into raw materials for nature's expansion and firewalls to defend the system. Having lost his beloved Izanami, Izanagi descends into the quarantined sector reserved for the dead, Yomi, the underworld.
You are too late. I have already eaten the food of this realm. I can no longer return.
Yet, moved by Izanagi's desperate pleas, she relents.
Even so, I will try to negotiate with the gods of Yomi. But while I do, you must not look inside, under any circumstances.
Do not look. Of course he looked. Breaking a tooth from his comb to light the dark. What the firelight revealed was not the woman he loved, but a body consumed by decay, crawling with thunder and rot. That one forbidden gaze would tear the two gods apart, forever. Why does breaking the forbidden look trigger such a catastrophic error? This taboo is etched across mythologies worldwide, from the Greek tale of Orpheus onward. This is not just a recurring plot device, it was a universal specification, a rule designed to prevent system corruption by enforcing the absolute separation of two contradictory datasets, life and death. Not even an administrator with root access could override the immutable laws of the realm of the dead. At the climax of this desperate chase, Izanagi commanded the peaches that saved him to protect the people of the terrestrial world as well. But pause for a moment. Up to this point in the story, there has not been a single mention of the gods ever designing or creating humans. Unlike Western mythology, where God deliberately coded humans in his own image, the humans in the Kojiki simply appear. They are detected in this scene's logs as mysterious active users who had somehow spawned within the system, with no creator on record. A boundary sealed shut by a 1,000-ton boulder. This was the definitive logical partition between the living and the dead, a firewall erected to protect the entire system. And here, standing on opposite sides of that wall, they exchange their final words.
My beloved husband, if this is what you would do to me, then each day I shall extinguish 1,000 lives in your world.
My beloved wife, then I shall raise 1,500 birthing halls each day and bring forth new life. 1,000 deletions against 1,500 deployments, a net gain of plus 500 every single day. This is the origin of the human lifespan, the mythological reason we are born and the reason we die. In the face of an eternal deletion threat, a population lifecycle management protocol was established, ensuring the system could keep growing without ever collapsing. Stained by the corruption of death, Izanagi needed to purify himself. And when he steps into those waters and washes everything away, the story will plunge into its true beginning, the birth of the three most exalted deities, Amaterasu, Tsukuyomi, and Susanoo.
Let's rewind for a moment.
What saved Izanagi from certain death was not a divine blade or sorcery, but a simple peach. So, why a peach? This remarkably powerful warding specification was, in fact, heavily influenced by an external library, the Continental OS known as Taoism. In Taoism, the peach was a sacred fruit, one that granted immortality and repelled evil. The Kojiki was never a closed system. It ran on a flexible, open architecture, one fully capable of importing useful external modules. But not every piece of logic in this system was necessarily a foreign import. Some of it may simply be the result of standard design patterns, solutions independently developed across civilizations to address the same fundamental problems, naturally converging here as well. A citation of foreign code, or convergence on a universal truth? This source code, called the Kojiki, continues to run in silence, harboring a question for which no definitive answer exists.